What's up, guys? Got a fun one for you guys today. The Chargers could go in a number of directions at 47. And of course, this is dictated by what they do at 13. So if they decide to go offensive tackle, as they should, the next step should be to shore up that defense with versatile players, particularly in the secondary. Some would say corner, some would say safety. I'm cool with either. But the player I want to talk about today, should he be available, I think trumps any DB that is probably available at that time. That includes Asante Samuel Jr. You know how much I like him. I'm talking today about TCU safety Trevon Moehrig. It's certainly a toss-up for safety two for me between Moehrig and Grant. And I'd really be happy to talk about either. But today I'm going to talk about Moehrig because I believe he's the best coverage safety in the draft that would fit perfectly in Staley's scheme and system, because he plays safety on paper, sure, but he actually took more snaps in the slot this past season than at either free safety or as a box safety. And just to add, this past season, he did win the Jim Thorpe Award for the best defensive back in college football, an award previously won by guys like Minka Fitzpatrick, Patrick Peterson, Eric Berry. You're familiar with Desmond King, of course. And then some older names. Sorry, I'm dating myself here. Include Antoine Winfield, Charles Woodson, and Deion Sanders. So yeah, if you win that award, you're in some seriously talented company. That means you're a pretty good college defensive back. Now, what I think makes him so awesome is that he can man up with anything you throw at him. But first, and these next three plays, but I guess you can see it throughout the entire film study. I want to start with what I think makes it work for a guy. And, with Moehrig, I think it's that explosive first step, that lack of hesitation, and that linear recovery speed. It's one thing to just get there and make a tackle, but it's another thing entirely to get there a little bit earlier and knock that ball down. And Moehrig led college football, I believe, I lost the stat for this, but I believe he led college football the last 2 seasons in passes defended. So, he's pretty good at that. And you're going to see a pass defended on almost every single play I have for you here. Now, the first 3 plays are just a little glimpse at him making that read and closing the space between him and the receiver, or him and the ball carrier. He's going to end up taking the slot receiver right here. And I'm not saying that's, wow, he ran a 4.2 to go make that tackle. But you'll see throughout this entire thing that he's able to make these plays. He's always there at the right time to make these plays, not just a tackle, but a play on the ball as well. And another thing I noticed, which you can maybe see a little bit on the next angle, but throughout this film entirely, is that when he does make a play on the ball, he also does at least have that other arm ready to make a tackle, which is textbook, of course. On the off chance the ball is completed, Moehrig will also drop him immediately. Right? This is as much a play on the ball as it is a tackle in the off chance that he does catch that football. Okay, on the next play, the ball is snapped at about the 42 here. And the play is really just designed to get this slot receiver an easy completion to the outside where he can run upfield, make a guy miss, in this case, Moehrig, of course, and pick up a huge chunk of yards on first down. And, with the outside receiver taking out the corner, it's really up to Moehrig to not allow a first down here. And while it's impossible for Moehrig to get to the receiver before the completion, barring, a crazy full sprint and somehow knowing the play ahead of time, he does get to the receiver. He runs really hard and runs downhill to prevent this from going anywhere. So this play starts at the 42 and really only ends up going to about the 45 right here. Again, downhill, tackle, finish it. If you're going to allow that completion, which I don't really think he had a choice but to allow a completion like that, at least stop it, right? Only 3 yards, just a 3-yard gain on 1st and 10. And now this final play of the closing speed, I guess, trio of plays that I have on this one, Moehrig reads this, absolutely brilliantly and makes up a ton of ground here and tips the ball. But unfortunately, he tips it and it also goes to the receiver, behind him. So, but the instincts are there. And once again, that closing speed is there. It's part cerebral for him and it's part athletic, which is, again, is why Moehrig has so many passes defended. So he's going to end up having to take, this slot receiver, 10 yards away from him on a shallow crosser. The next angle will be a little bit better, but yeah, he tips the ball up. And, I really think if he didn't have another teammate in the way over here, not only just in his way, but also in his peripheral vision, I think Moehrig would have picked this ball off. So Moehrig's going to come from over here. And just some bad luck and a teammate in the way. Not that the teammate really impacted his ability to make a play on the ball because that was here. But I just think having a guy in your face, just like a receiver, turning and worrying about the linebacker about to hit him, I think he's just a little bit too worried about the DB being in his way. And of course, just some bad luck. But, it happens. Now, aside from his closing speed, I also love that Moehrig, he rarely allows anyone to cut him off, and that includes bigger tight ends, which is mandatory for Chargers safeties in the AFC West with Kelsey, with Fant. I've seen some mock drafts with Pitts going to Denver as well. And of course, Darren Waller. They're all capable of doing damage. And Derwin James is really the only other guy I feel comfortable taking those guys on. I think Kenneth Murray, Drew Tranquil can get there, but we got to see that, right? We have yet to see that just yet. But Moehrig is a guy, another guy that I think could take these guys on or those guys on. Although, of course, there would be a learning curve. But anyway, what the next 4 plays show, although, one is against a receiver, is that Moehrig just doesn't let guys out muscle him or get in front of him. And I want you to notice as we go through this, and I'm sure you've already kind of started to notice, the variety of alignments from Moehrig and how he handles responsibilities the exact same textbook way, regardless of opponent. What his side of the field is, who he's lined up against, the type of receiver, etc. And I'll just let these plays run for just a moment. As you'll notice, many passes defended here. Same play, arm around, hand up. Covering the tight end of the slot here. The ball's thrown a little bit behind him, but still makes a play on the ball. Pass defended. It's a trend, folks. The receiver jumps in front. Pass defended. It's a bit of textbook at this point. Oh, look, a pass defended. And another thing I noticed too is that he's very comfortable with his dropbacks and movements and is never flipping his hips and committing in a way that leaves him exposed to, some sort of secondary move that the receiver could make at the top of the route. Because he could have just as easily bit on the corner here. But instead he stays home with his hips pretty square and eyes focused and mirrors the tight end beautifully. Of course, for the pass defended. And now same thing here on this receiver who I want to say tries a whip route or a smash, but I can't tell if he just runs it wrong or what. Because usually if he's running, the whip that I'm thinking of, he doesn't run this way and then turn to his left to go back to the sideline. He usually goes this way and cuts back this way across his right. But either way, Moehrig has it covered, is square, and really gives him no room to go here. He's not targeted. The slot receiver here is not targeted, but it wouldn't have been very good if he were. And I hope you're just seeing how teams have tried to beat Moehrig. Granted, it's not the same team every time, but it's obviously very difficult for these teams to do so. A bubble screen, shallow crosser, drag, post, line up in the slot all over the field going against receivers or tight ends. Now, I didn't see Moehrig challenged a lot, at least deep, but Oklahoma State does try it here. And, well, he's covering the slot receiver. Oops, we'll get a better angle here. He picks it off. Moehrig, he just has perfect timing. Everything about him screams perfect timing. The receiver's already looking around. He could panic here and start to backpedal. But he turns his head, runs with him, high points the ball, and runs it back for another 12 yards. I mean, it's really hard to beat him. Everywhere that the people have lined up, every route you throw at him, he's on it. It's so textbook. That's why I say that I think he's the best coverage corner in this draft because he can line up everywhere and cover really anything. Now, of course, the last bit we have to get into is tackling. Now, while I don't think Moehrig is as good a tackler as Grant or Owusu-Koramoah, I do think he understands responsibilities. He has that closing speed, and he tackles well enough. Now, on this play, he's going to be challenged by the left tackle, he's going to pull and block for the running back. Go back, go back, go back. One of those times where the button's not working. There we go. Okay. You know, as soon as the hole is shown, this really should be a loss for Moehrig, right? This tackle should have him no problem. But Moehrig, he's going to duck under the lineman and make a really good tackle here. And in my opinion, this is an NFL rep. Maybe not the best, blocking attempts by the tackle, but still, that's an NFL, ready rep. And that's honestly more commitment than I've seen from some of the linebackers in this class. You're going to like this one, though. The next play is on the right side of your screen over here. And, and the offense is going to block everyone really, really well, leaving a wide open hole over here, give or take, and only Moehrig to defend it. If he tackles him, but he's dragged a few yards, it's a touchdown. If he blows it completely, it's a touchdown. So what happens? Ooh. Moehrig decleats him and forces a fumble. That's NFL stuff right there. Again, this tackle here. But this one, you want to watch it again? Yes, you do. Stone him, fumble, right? Protect your end zone, baby. I love that. Now, the next two plays, just shown twice at different angles. They aren't all that much different, but I still do love the downhill nature of Moehrig. He's not going to, he's not going to catch you like a hug and fall backwards after you've already run 10 yards. He's going to try to silence you as early as possible. He definitely has a tackling style like this. It's not like a shoestring tackle. I don't want to say that like a negative, but he certainly sweeps the legs. So yeah, if you can't tell, I love Moehrig, and he's my safety 2 in this class. Although I do think it is really close between him and Grant. I just think his downhill mentality, that closing speed, and ability to line up, everywhere and cover anyone makes him so freaking perfect for the Chargers. So keep an eye on him. I know he's probably going to go in the first round anyhow, but the safety position, it's kind of tricky to figure out. And, who knows who's ranked where and how the DBs go. And there's certainly a lot of corners, a lot of edge players, some tackles on day 2 that could really push Moehrig towards the Chargers. Again, I don't think it will happen, but who knows? We've watched Nasir Adderley fall to the back end of the second round before, so we'll see. Anyway, thanks you guys very much for listening or watching, I guess. Always, if you can, leave a comment and let me know what you think, and have a great rest of your week. Bolt up.